Oh, it's live.
And we are live. Okay, we have some 1/6 action figures going here today. Welcome,
man.
Oh, very nice, very nice. You know, I should have pulled out the my old Godzilla T-shirt. I was right up until the last second, though. I was, right until I jumped into the stream. I was busy at the stream. Welcome to episode 127 of An American Werewolf of New Jersey. American Werewolf in New Jersey, excuse me. I am the American Werewolf. In the house tonight, we've got Team Zilla. That is the wrong side, a.k.a. But nevertheless, Bill has been here from the get-go with this MonsterVerse.
Yes.
Starting with the 1954 classic through this entire MonsterVerse series leading up to this episode, which is all about...
Yeah, I mean, we skipped 35. We skipped 35 movies, but okay.
Well, yeah, that would have to be an entire... I mean, what I wanted to do was the modern versions.
Right.
You wanted to have movies...
in and of itself to do every one of those other series.
Right. Plus, you probably have one out of every 500 people who had seen those, that would stream on them. I mean, maybe you'd catch some people and they'd catch on. And there's a couple on HBO that they could catch on to, but most of them aren't available that sort of way. So I kind of picked movies that, people have some access to. These more modern films, and I think that they're good enough to represent.
This one's we're talking about, old, which is cool.
Yeah, and it's a damn good film.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's a damn good film.
It's a little piece of all right. Last time we talked, which has been a minute since we did that, but last time we talked, we were, I think Eric was in on that one, and we were just going to town shitting on the expository characters.
It was Rod. It was you, me, and Rod. And yeah, we didn't expect that to go that way at all. It was Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
Yes.
And we were just
really good visually.
Yeah, and we just started talking, and all of a sudden it just started going downhill. And you're like, fuck, I didn't think that was going to happen, But, and then we sort of all felt bad, and we're like, but it's a really good movie. You should watch it, We just shit on it for 45 minutes, but,
We're just busy trying to sound smart. We're talking about Godzilla movies, and we're trying to throw intellectual at it.
But, that's exactly right. Excuse me while I get the hardcover edition,
It does suffer from that. You can't deny it, but this movie doesn't have any of that. It's actually whoever wrote it did a really good job of combining two polar opposites of the MonsterVerse, and did it in a really, really smart way, which I like.
You've got the main stars of the MonsterVerse. You've got two completely different storylines going on. You've got the evil corporation / Goonies kind of storyline going on with Millie Bobby Brown, who's just coming off Stranger Things, and the new season of that, and that's a big hit. And then you've got the the direct sort of Titan thing going on, between Kong and Godzilla, and then the mecha. But it's not a bad movie. They brought back, two people from the previous movie, Millie Bobby Brown, and her father that Rod always wanted to punch for some reason that we never could exactly figure out why.
Because he looks like Bob Crawford. Remember Bob Crawford from back in the day? He's now the bass player for the Avett Brothers. But every time I see that actor, I just start thinking Bob Crawford.
Oh God! All right. So before we get into it too deep, should we just get it going?
Yeah, why not?
Boogity woogity. So before we get it going, let's see. We got a couple of comments here. We got Donald Duck saying, hi, Mr. Mike. What's up there, Donald? It's a nice bottle of Clorox you're drinking there. Don't do that. It's very unhealthy. We got Slasher Fred in the house. I think that the original Godzilla from '54 was made as people's fear of the atomic bomb. That's absolutely correct. Yes, that answer is correct. I'm going to get a soundboard where you can get like ding, like the correct answer and like the buzzer when somebody says
survey says.
Yeah, that's my next investment. And then we got Eric. Eric's here in the house. What's up, man? He said, evening, boys. Let's talk some fun monster on monster action. And that's exactly what this is. So in many ways, this movie does what the other movies also do, gives you, for the most part, a completely new cast.
Right.
Every time one of these movies starts, it just starts all over again. And that was one of our complaints about the last one.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were like, we could have seen somebody, like maybe we should have seen WandaVision. Yeah, we want to see Wanda and, Pietro and, that would have been Ford. That was it, Ford and Elle, and that would have been cool, but instead they started us off with new characters, Millie Bobby and Vera Farmiga.
Mm-hmm.
They're sort of doing that again. They're giving you the new Monarch characters. Mm-hmm. The evil Axis Titan or Axis Corporation, Apex. That's it.
Apex.
The Apex Corporation, which is a little on the nose, but it's still fun just the same. And it starts right out on Skull Island, and it moves, I guess, about what happened? I guess about 40 years into the future.
40.
Well, I mean Skull Island was in the Vietnam War.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So we're seeing Skull Island, but it's not Skull Island anymore, or at least it's not the one that we remember.
Yeah, Skull Island has been washed away. I'm presuming by one of the tsunamis, that occurred, in 2014. Yeah, the
storm that surrounded the island had shifted, and now the island is just completely washed away and storm wrecked and all that.
And Monarch has created like this sort of illusion of this refuge. It's like a sanctuary that Khan can live in, but he's aware of the fact that, he's kind of trapped there, and he's becoming increasingly frustrated about it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're realizing that he's also growing, and that was one of the sub threads of the Skull Island movie, which was that Kong was a baby.
Yep.
Except now it's 40 years later and he's getting too big and he doesn't have all those islands to move around in anymore. He's just got this little tract of land.
Yeah.
And it's getting harder and harder to distract him from that.
It's like the Truman Show, except he's aware that the cameras are on him.
Yeah.
It's a pretty badass scene though when he makes that spear and just sort of busts out the window in the dome.
I saw this in the theater. Oh, no, I didn't. Of course, I didn't see this in the theater. I saw this. I was thinking of King of the Monsters. I saw this streaming, and I remember when that happened. I was like, "Holy shit!" It's not real. Mm-hmm. That was the last thing I expected to see. You just see that tree just kind of go sailing through the air, and I thought it was going to be some sort of cool shot. Or it was just going to splash down in the water, and then all of a sudden you're just boom hitting this, enormous thing,
right.
But then you realize that the reason that they're doing this is that Monarch is trying to contain Kong and protect him from Godzilla.
Yeah, it's a good way to start the movie because it puts you in a world where Monarch is fully funded instead of a struggling conspiracy theory operating out of a small office somewhere, begging senators for pay. And now it's like ever since the Godzilla attack on humanity, Monarch's like getting all the money.
And, Monarch's like outshining the military.
Yes.
Yeah, they've become like the premier government organization because now they're dealing with these giant monsters that are just appearing at random and. The planet's almost been destroyed a couple of times. And
I'm assuming they're still around, like the giant woolly mammoth that popped up in Russia and the giant praying mammoth. I'm assuming they're all over the place and being contained just like Kong.
There were some subplots or scenes that were deleted or removed from the script that involved the mammoth. I think
Mm,
where a bunch of people went out trying to kill it, and they just ended up smashing them.
mm,
And they sort of cut it out from the movie. I think that would have been cool to see, but the movie's kind of lighthearted.
yeah.
It's a kids movie. You have to make it kid friendly. They're
Hmm.
going to put butts in the seats. That much more, or get people to watch it in streaming, because we were still towards the end of the lockdowns
Hmm.
when this was released. Um, at this point, the way the world is going, I mean, if Titans were just to suddenly appear, I don't think anybody would be surprised. I think that was something I mean, because it starts from that shift where Kong is frustrated to Godzilla just rolling up on the shore of Hong Kong. Was it Hong Kong or was it San Francisco or something like that, and just starts smashing? Which
Yeah.
is very uncharacteristic, where Godzilla has been the friend of humanity, the protector. We've talked about how, like, he stopped from smashing into ships and would just, go underneath. But,
Hmm.
it's not the case anymore. He's just rolling up and just, knocking things over left and right.
Yeah. The movie starts out with concerns. Godzilla is seemingly not so friendly anymore, and I sat watching it and I like poking my wife like, yeah, I know what's going on. I know what's going on. She's like, shut up. I'm like, I know what's going on.
Well, because he shows up and he's already nuked up.
Right.
He's already
He's already blasting stuff and we don't know why. And he's got the bright eyes. And I was sitting there waiting for some kind of attack against him, like the airplanes or the tanks or whatnot, to blow off his skin, because I was expecting Mecha Godzilla to be underneath the skin. That's like a plot from one of the Mecha Godzillas in, I think, the 2000s.
okay.
Like, oh, it's got
So
to be, it's got to be, but it wasn't.
no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. And all of a sudden, he just kind of, rolls up and smashes everything, and then that sort of puts the world in a bad place, where you see Rod's buddy that he wants to punch all the time, still trying to figure out what to do. You've
But
got,
where's the wife?
huh?
Where's the wife?
Oh, yeah, she's dead.
Hmm.
Yeah, she's dead. You've got this guy, Bernie, who's running the Titan Truth podcast. I thought it was kind of humorous that they had a guy running a podcast. I mean, it's completely modern.
Yeah.
And he's just spouting off conspiracies, and
Mhm.
they're not telling us the truth. I mean, it's very relatable to everything that's happening today. Like
Yeah,
any type of political podcast,
oh,
where
totally, totally.
the government's lying to us, and we need to know what's going on, and I have an idea, and he's just spouting all these theories out, and of course he's practically running it out of some kind of, what is it, a basement or something like that.
Yeah, because that's because that's who podcasters are weirdos in basements.
Yeah, pretty much. In the back room here, everybody's got their, nobody's, going to some studio anymore. Everybody's just DIY. You've got it set up in some back room, and that's about it.
But he's spreading misinformation about the Titans. At least that's what we think at first.
Yeah.
It's played wonderfully by Tyree Henry, who's Paperboy in Atlanta. Fantastic. So he's such a good actor, and I was really happy to see him in this, because he could make a buck or two just doing stupid shit, because his whole character was just him saying stupid shit. And
Yeah,
it seemed like such a good time.
It's great comedic timing.
Mm-hmm.
He just looked like he was having fun.
Yeah,
everybody looked like they were having fun with it.
When he's sneaking in, pretending to be a Monarch employee or an Apex employee, that was pretty good.
Yeah,
it wasn't overdone, and I thought he did a good job.
Yeah. You have Dr. Sarah. One of the things I was a little disappointed about was they had Sarazawa's son. This guy Ren Sarazawa, and they didn't do anything with him.
Right.
Now, I would have liked to have seen. My understanding is that there was a bit of a backlash among fans who are a bit more in the know, and I spent the better part of a day today because I had an exchange with someone on Twitter a while back about this in preparation for the show, who was in the know.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent the better part of an hour scrolling through my replies, trying to find that thread.
Yeah.
Instead of what I should have done, which is just screenshot it at the time, which I didn't do. And after about an hour, something must have happened, and I got up to get a drink of water or something like that, and I must have hit the button to reset the home and just went. And I was just like, "Oh, the hell with it! I can't go through back this again." But apparently, there was a significant rewrite, and they kind of wrote him right out of the story. Which is, I don't get the point of that. Like, why put him in a Sarah Zara character in there at all if you're just going to make him and that could have been anybody.
Well, yeah, but I think the little girl is like, she does the function of Sarazawa in this anyway. But even though she's on Team Kong,
yeah,
both threads, both storylines don't need one of those characters.
Right. Now, you've got the Apex Corporation that is looking for a solution to the Kong threat.
Mm-hmm.
Much like they're going to invent the threat to, finance the solution.
Yes.
Yeah, that kind of thing. It's psycho-capitalism at its fucking best.
Right.
They believe that there is technology. We're following through again with the Hollow Earth theory from Kong Skull Island, and that underneath there is a source of energy that will help negate these Godzilla rampages, while, of course, they're actually creating the Godzilla rampages.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's duplicitous as fuck.
Yep. They want to be the apex predator. They want the Kong. They want to be the Kong.
Yeah. Now, Eric is a man of refined tastes and clearly knows what he's talking about here. He says, I love Godzilla, but I was always Team Kong. Now, it's not quite as satisfying as the... Eric, have you seen this? I don't know if you have. It's not quite as satisfying as that original King Kong versus Godzilla movie sort of thing. But the action scenes in it are pretty damn good.
Yes.
You've got Alexander Skarsgård.
Yes.
Who actually does a pretty good job. I mean, we had just seen him coming off The Northman.
Right.
And he's complaining.
Serious movie, and he's in this doing more stupid shit.
Yeah, he's just kind of this inept, bumbling kind of, but he's not a coward or anything, but he's a scientist. He's not an action guy. He's not playing an action guy in this or something like that.
He's a science guy.
Yeah, he's a science guy. He's like Bill Nye, he's like Bill, doing that kind of thing. And, the Apex Corporation hires him to give them the technology to go down there. They're going to try to lure Kong down into the Hollow Earth opening and see if they can find that thing so they can bring it back up and give Godzilla the chop.
Right.
And that'll be the end of everything. And then I guess sort of Apex can, take over the privatization of planetary security pretty much from there on. Did you have any complaints? I mean, about the film, or did you have any holes in it? Or
I don't have too many complaints. No. The one thing that I thought was funny, it's not so bad, but it was something that I wanted to bitch about, was they went Spider-Verse by creating this new character. Millie Bobby Brown has to have a sidekick, and he has to be a fat guy. And it's a little different than Spider-Man because this guy, he's a Pacific Islander and he has an Australian accent, but it's the same shit.
Wait, what?
What? Millie Bobby?
Australian?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. He was Australian. Yeah, or whatever he was.
That convenient. But it was a little silly. It wasn't bad. He wasn't It wasn't like he was a exposition machine like the science guy on the sub in the last movie. He was actually, it was kind of good, but it was a little distracting because I'm like, it's Spider-Verse now.
Yeah, but he was kind of unnecessary, but unlike what we got in Kong Skull Island, these people had more to do. We had talked about that not in Skull Island, King of the Monsters. We had talked about that in King of the Monsters, that they had too many players on the board.
Right.
And there were too many people that just had nothing to do. You could have pulled about a half a dozen people off of there. You would have had a much leaner script and everyone would have had a lot more purpose, and it would have been a better film. But they didn't do that. Here, they still had a fairly good number of people on here, but they handled it better. It wasn't as good as Skull Island. Skull Island was the best example with the Vietnam soldiers.
Yes.
Everybody in there you gave a shit about.
Right. But they also kept getting killed. No one in this gets killed. There's only, red shirts getting killed in this.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah. Which I was okay with. I was okay. Like everybody, the red shirts were disposable. And even his daughter, when she gets it, I was completely okay with it. I'm like, yeah, bye. You weren't doing anything anyway except being annoying. And if you're there to be fodder, then do your job. You did your job.
She's the annoying Apex executive. Of course she's gonna get killed. You knew it was coming from a mile away.
Okay. Eric says I've seen this once. Just love Kong more. And Slasher Fred's one of my favorite cartoon series was the original Powerpuff Girls, and the giant monster antagonists are a Godzilla homage. Yeah. Okay, so I didn't see any of the Powerpuff Girls, but okay. All right.
I love the Powerpuff Girls, and there was always Godzilla was showing up. Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, but I didn't catch. I never caught it.
It's a good show from the.
I didn't say it wasn't. I just said I never caught it.
Okay. The heyday of
the early '90s.
Yes. Oh my God.
Oh, I never watched Cartoon Network.
Oh, what is wrong with you?
just never watched Cartoon Network. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There was a point where I just broke from animation. And it isn't until fairly recently that I've actually returned to it. And that's in the form of like anime. I've watched some anime. I've really liked the Hellsing series, which is some of the most beautiful animation I've ever seen. Hellsing Ultimate. Some of the BPRD, the Hellboy animation. Some of the Japanese stuff, the horror stuff. But like regular plain old cartoon animated things. I for some reason one day I just stopped watching them and that was it.
Okay, I can understand that. But
kind of got away from it.
It's like you go from Ren and Stimpy to almost nothing, and then you have this batch of cartoons that are not quite Adult Swim, but they're not quite kiddie shows, and it's this Dexter's Laboratory, Powerpuff Girls, Johnny Bravo, all those cartoons. They're heartwarming and hilarious and filled with good jokes.
See, I missed all those. I missed every one of them. All right.
It happens. I think you were saving the world out in India or something at that point.
You know what also happened was cable didn't come to my side of the track until I was like a senior in high school.
Okay.
It just didn't. Cable television didn't come to our part of town until like 86 or 87. Okay. And by then I was just like, I spent my free time out.
Right.
Doing things and that kind of stuff. I wasn't in front of the TV so much.
Well, Powerpuff Girls was like, I guess, early 2000s.
Oh yeah, then I was definitely doing something else.
Yeah. But to the point, you always had giant monsters, kaiju's always showing up, and the Powerpuff Girls fighting them.
He's been
worth checking out.
Yeah, we talked about what an influence he's been on so many different. There's so many things we wouldn't have today.
Yep.
Even if we start talking, we go all the way to Cloverfield. Clearly, kaiju related, Pacific Rim, these sorts of things.
Oh yeah, speaking of Pacific Rim, I like that the Mechagodzilla was really, really innovative in this one. I liked it a lot. I liked the design. I liked the nod to Pacific Rim in that it had a human pilot that sort of neural nets into it.
Yeah.
I was really a good way to sort of acknowledge Pacific Rim without sort of redoing Pacific Rim.
It was a super intimidating monster.
Yes.
I thought that the creature effects were really solid here.
Mm-hmm.
The CGI, the special effects, I thought everything was really good. This reminded me on a mega steroid scale of that old, what do you call it? That old Stephen King story, The Mangler. It just looked like
that one was great.
It just looked like them. And I can't remember if the Mangler was a laundry press or a printing press that just went berserk and just, tore you to pieces. But that's what this reminded me of.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, Jesus, that thing just looks like it just wants to mangle the living hell out of you,
Yeah.
Fantastic stuff. Fantastic stuff. Yeah. Here's a quick question. Did you think it was woke?
I didn't catch that. Not
At
really.
first I thought it was, and then I thought the guys all came off as kind of buffoonish, but then they didn't. They started out that way, but then they leveled into solid characters. Same with Skarsgård, same with Bernie. They were the only two real guys in there. The other, like the Apex Corporation and Sarazar, they were all kind of cartoonish.
Yeah. I didn't catch that vibe. There was definitely like strong female characters and all that, but it wasn't, wasn't like they were banging you over the head with it. It wasn't anything that any of the other Godzilla movies ever didn't have, I never got the woke feeling. I thought it was yes, Mangler was a printing press. Yeah, I got the feeling that it was just a fun movie, and that's part of the reason why I liked it so much when I saw it.
It was a laundry press.
Yes.
It was a laundry press. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's what that damn thing reminded me of. I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's fucking Mangler. Jesus. So, it's a pretty straightforward story. I guess that brings us to the fights.
Yeah.
And there are several of them.
A lot of good ones. Because you have different monsters getting fought.
Yeah. Now, the first fight that really takes place is the Godzilla Kong fight, I guess, which takes place about 45 minutes, an hour into the movie. They're shipping him to wherever to Antarctica. Yep. But I also got this feeling that this was one of those movies after so many different fights, Godzilla's just tired of fighting, so he's just here to put somebody down quick. Like he's not screwing around anymore.
Yeah, I think
he's just going right for the throat.
He's just trying to figure out what the hell's going on with Apex, and Kong is just sort of in the way.
Kind of, but of course they have the old ancient rivalry, and this scene is lifted directly from Die Hard.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Wincott said that this scene was definitely an homage to John McTiernan, and that scene from where he jumps from the helicopter towards the end of the film.
Yeah, I liked the part where Kong is using the ships as sort of stepping stones to move across the ocean.
Yeah,
that was just great. It was really well done.
It's very impressive. It's impressive that, Godzilla would just attack him while he's shackled to the boat.
Yeah.
And he's cuffed and he's just drowning down there.
Yep.
And quite a few times, it's kind of clear that whatever team you're on, Godzilla is just kind of a step ahead.
In this part, yeah.
Yeah. In this part, yeah. That's well said, because it's what happens in the second fight is kind of ironic. But it's a really good fight scene. Smashes the entire fleet. Lots of good action. Very lengthy fights. You don't get the snippets that Rod complained about when we did the original 2014 movie, where you were seeing things on television and on your phone, or you're running, or then the fog covers it, or this, that, or the other. A lot of good cinematography. It's good stuff. I thought the effects of the Hollow Earth creatures were much better than what we got on Skull Island. And that was one of the complaints that we had, which was that those skull, whatever you call them, the final, act monsters just weren't very...
Right. Although they did make a return in this movie at some point. But these serpents, the Skull Island serpents were really badass. I like that, them with the red wings.
Yeah. That's good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, that kind of brings us to the second fight.
Mm-hmm.
You take that one. Go ahead. What?
Which one now? I'm all discombobulated. The second
Why
fight
did
between Kong and Godzilla, or are they both teaming up to fight
Kong and Godzilla?
All right. I thought the I think the Thor's hammer thing is stupid, but I don't know. I don't know. It's just at that point, I didn't want them to be fighting each other. You know.
Hmm. Well, it's got to happen. When I first saw this, I knew that I wanted.
Well, at that point, you know that it's not, those two are not enemies anymore. You know that they're both going to turn around and put their focus on Apex.
Well,
and
see,
don't fight each other now.
Here's the thing. I think when I first saw this, I didn't catch the mecha angle.
Okay.
So I'll look at it from that perspective and say that, okay, I'm keeping it solely between these two.
Yeah.
In which case, I want
Godzilla was coming. It was like, all right, you got to.
Yeah, then you've got to shift.
Moving on to Mecha Godzilla and Mecha Kong instead of keeping it in Kong versus Godzilla.
Right, but we were at Kong versus Godzilla, and I felt that for the most part, like I said in the first fight, Godzilla stays about a step ahead of him.
Uh-huh.
And then he actually lays Godzilla out.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think a little...
Huh? I said eventually Godzilla's got to recharge.
Yeah, he gets a recharge and comes back a little quicker than I think Kong is ready for.
Mm.
And it's very difficult to compete with that atomic breath. And then he ends up getting really kind of stepped on.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that Adam Wincott said in the film that what he wanted was to have a fight that you could have a definitive winner. He wanted there to be a definitive winner between the two, but that there could be a respectful stance for both fighters.
Okay. I mean, I know you're Team Kong, and
yeah,
you want to see Kong win, but
well, it only happens this way because the writer writes it this way. In real life, this is
in real life. Yeah, remember Godzilla's the king of the monsters. So
yeah. Well, king of the monsters and King Kong, so you got two kings.
Right.
That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then immediately when that happens, he stomps out the person that he needs, and then the mecha comes along. Because the Apex Corporation has been waiting this entire time. And that thing just smashes the living shit out of Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is a terrifying, terrifying monster. And like I said, I don't even call it mecha. I just call it Mangler Godzilla, I think. And just beats there's nothing that Godzilla can do to that thing.
Right.
The atomic breath doesn't work. He's not stronger. He's not faster. One of the impressive things about the fight with Kong was the way that Godzilla would get low. Like he got on all fours and sort of started snapping at him like an iguana, like at his legs.
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa, you've never seen this, because in all the other fights that we've seen before, they've been these stand-up fights.
Right.
Where he's always trying to get to his two legs. But for Kong, he took a completely different approach. It was almost like watching some sort of, MMA fight or something like that, where they're just kind of keeping it on the ground or something. Like, is it Saturday night already? Shit, here we go again. That kind of... But
you just get to feeling that Godzilla is more animal than person in rubber suit.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, with the atomic breath, there's not much you can do. Now, the ironic thing that I thought about was that one, Godzilla beats Kong, but then Mecha comes back and smashes Godzilla, and then Kong comes back and smashes Mecha.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Godzilla is able to play a small part in the double team, but not much. His goose is pretty fucking cooked. So it's ironic that the person that got beat ends up beating the person that beat him.
It's hard to keep them all apart. It was way too much action. It was like action overload, where you're just like, I can't
No
keep
such
up with
thing.
who's doing
No
what.
such thing as action overload. It's good stuff.
But then they got to get to Hollow Earth.
Well, I mean, that's what ends up, that's how it all ends up. I mean, the club is the key that you can't stand that ends up, one, being able to some extent, deter Godzilla. I mean, it was an equal. I don't think Kong would have had much of a chance at all without that, the way that this was written. But then that's the thing that absolutely smashes Mechagodzilla. And then each of them, that's the way the movie kind of ends. It just kind of goes back to everybody goes back to their respective homes,
right?
Respectful of each other.
Right. We're probably King Kong is king of the Hollow Earth, and Godzilla is king of the above Earth.
Yeah, and that's just kind of how it ends. There's no complicated plot,
right?
There's no characters to develop. Or anything like that. And I think that does this movie a favor, because if you had because it's still almost 2 hours long. I mean, we just said we've been talking for maybe 30 minutes, besides on and off things here and there,
right?
About a 2-hour movie. And I don't think we missed all that much. There really isn't that much substance to it.
I'm just going to point something out that, if the hatchet, if the hammer or whatever is the key to the whole thing, let's just remember what it was made out of, and it was made out of Godzilla's spine. So Godzilla is still the key to Kong winning, because Kong couldn't win on his own devices. He needed some kind of Godzilla weapon.
Well, let me pull a little paleontology lesson on you there, which is probably those come from dead Godzillas that got their asses kicked by Kongs. So and they made a handle into it. Yeah, I'll take this dead asshole that I just killed and turn him into a fucking axe.
Okay, if you say so.
That's exactly how it happened. I was there, buddy.
Who do you think wiped out all of Kong's parents on Monster Island?
Those stupid things on Skull Island. God, I hated those things. They're so dumb. Get that damn thing out of here. Cut his camera. Where's Bill O'Reilly? Cut his microphone. You really don't need that complicated plot of characters to develop, because in the end, you really just want to see these two beasts fight each other. Yeah, that's kind of it. That's kind of it.
That was the whole excuse.
Yeah.
Although we don't get to see King Kong get drunk on that magic red juice that he does in the original.
Oh yeah, isn't that how they helicopter him into the fight in the next location? That's the one where he takes the tree and shoves it down Godzilla's mouth. That's like one of the great scenes in cinema history. You know that, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Oh shit. So I mean, that's kind of that's the end of it. Everybody reunited. Nobody dies except for the cannon fodder. Bernie invites a guy onto his podcast, Millie Bobby Brown's father. Can I invite you onto my podcast, please? This kind of thing, which is completely 2021. That's completely today, not a problem. And that's kind of it. It's the least complicated, huh?
Is that it for the MonsterVerse? Is this the last we're going to see of the American?
No. There's another one. Well, hold on. Eric says it sounds like Bill is the new Rod now. He's about to get kicked off the street. Bill is the new Rod. It's like orange is the new black. Bill is the new Rod. Hold on a second. Godzilla. Hold on. Because I can bring this up on. Let me share. Let me see. Where are you? Okay. I'll bring this up, and here we go. Can you read that?
Let me see. Godzilla versus Kong development. I can't read this.
Oh, you can't read that? Okay. I think there's going to be another. I think there is going to be. I think is it next year? Theatrical and streaming, box office, critical response. I'm not too worried. Sequel. Yeah, in March 2022, it was announced that a sequel to Godzilla vs. Kong is scheduled to commence filming later in the year in Gold Coast, Queensland, and other locations in southeast Queensland. In May 2000 this year, it was announced that Wingard would return to direct and that Dan Stevens has been cast in the lead. I have no idea who Dan Stevens is, but obviously with Wingard at the helm, it's going to be another lighthearted fare, which is good.
All right. Good. Hopefully we'll see we'll see Mechanic Kong from King Kong Escapes. The
Wingard
1967 Mecha Kong.
Yeah. I saw somebody post something about that recently. Wingard and Stevens had previously worked together on The Guest. The film is scheduled to be released on March 15th, 2024.
Oh man, I'm gonna be so old when that comes out.
Yeah, so that's a week away or so. So we got a little bit of time between now and then. We've got John Slasher Fred. He said, "Have you ever watched that cartoon series Underdog?" Slasher Fred's always got some off-kilter references, but they're usually connected. That was a spoof of Superman. There was an episode called Firo that was a spoof of the original King Kong. Okay.
That's
and
cool.
John K. Alvarez is here, and he says, Kong versus Godzilla 2, they take on the Transformers. All right. That's something.
Those are words. Those are words.
Do you have a favorite among these modern films? Is there a favorite for you?
From the 3 or 4 that we talked about?
Yeah, keeping the original out of it because they're comparing that to any one of those to that original or any of those movies it's unfair.
I don't know. I like the 2014 Godzilla just because of Cranston was in it and because it was new. And I thought it was very innovative to have the fight scenes play out on the television. And I thought the airport fight scene was great, and the scene with the Halo jumpers was just fantastic. I think I'm going to lean toward that one because that one, at least, it kind of took itself a little bit serious, and then after that, it was more all about lots of CGI monsters fighting, which is just not a problem with that. I think my next favorite would be Skull Island. So, I'm hoping that they're not just going to keep going more and more derivative with every next, MonsterVerse movie.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. This will be the 5th movie. Mm-hmm. You know what happens usually by the time they get to part 5 of almost everything.
Right.
You know what happens. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah.
For me, my favorite was Skull Island. I love that 1970s backdrop, something completely different. I really like Samuel Jackson as that colonel who just kind of he's slightly off kilter. He's not all the way out there, but he's, John Goodman was great. John C. Reilly was fantastic. That was a completely different thing. I liked Hiddleston. I even liked Brie Larson. Brie Larson was good in that. I had no problems with her at all. I liked the scene driving the helicopters through the storm.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was my favorite. And I liked the way that of all the movies, even more so than after Cranston died in the first one, I sort of lost interest in the rest of the characters. Throughout that movie, I cared about when all those characters died.
Okay.
I cared about all of them. So
it does make sense. I mean, those were definitely, the scene setters, and they were both very good.
Yeah. Hold on a second. We've got Eric here, and he says, Kong Skull Island is my favorite of the current MonsterVerse. I really like the others. I loved Skull Island. Yeah, same here. I didn't expect anything from Skull Island when I saw it. I had very low expectations because that, King Kong movies usually make me hate everybody. But, these were really...
Don't do that.
Huh?
I said King Kong Escapes won't do that.
Yeah, somebody said that Peter Jackson, I was doing a little bit of research before before I came on here for this, and they said that Peter Jackson had written a sequel that never went into production.
Oh,
Although I
yeah?
don't understand how that was supposed to work necessarily.
Well, there was a Son of Kong originally, so they go back to
Yeah,
Skull Island and find another, find
uh,
another Kong.
yeah, Jack Black is at it again.
Oh God,
Um,
wouldn't that be something?
Skull Island rocked. Okay, John liked that. Kong's entrance in Skull Island was great.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. It's a very yeah. That was another. I mean, it just just to appear out of nowhere like that to go against the usual tropes with the Beauty and Beast kind of thing. That was my favorite.
What did you think about having Kong communicate doing sign language?
It pushed it a bit. But I was okay with it. I mean, it wasn't like you did that and then the rest of the movie was super serious,
All right.
or something like that. I mean, it didn't add anything to it. That was about it.
Between that and the Thor's hammer, it's kind of pushing the whole is Kong is he a gorilla or is he a person kind of thing? Where
I've sort of look at them as both of them, in Godzilla and Ghidorah, and they're all sort of deities, these sort of local deities from like a prehistoric time, these sorts of things, that kind of stuff. All right, I want to start something new here today on the show, and every time I have someone on the show, however many people, I'm going to ask them to do this. I want to ask them to rate the film on a scale of 1 to 5. Half star is allowed. Just off the top of your head, there's no criticism, there's no wrong answer. It could be half star all the way to 5 stars, or no stars if you feel, my God, I want to stab myself with a pair of scissors. Give me a rating for them.
Proudly give this one a 3.5. It's a darn good movie, and I would highly suggest it. And I would probably, if it's on TV, I'll probably go by it and stop and watch it.
That's an excellent point. This film is on HBO Max right now.
Yep.
So if you want to catch it, it's on HBO Max. Godzilla versus Kong, not hard to find. I think I found this I stumbled onto like a $9 copy in Walmart. They had stacks of them one time up there with same time Justice League came around. What are you doing? Stop that.
What?
You are gonna be the new Rod. All right. So for me, I'd go with 3.
Oh yeah.
I'd go with 3.
Why 3?
Why 3?
So I'm guessing like Skull Island's a 4, 4.5 for you, right?
I would give Skull Island a 4.
Okay.
Or maybe 3.5 to a 4. A 3.5 to a 4.
Okay.
There were just I could have watched this movie with the mute button on.
Mm-hmm.
You could do that with almost any of those movies per se, but some of them had more to say than others.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I would give Skull Island 3.5 to 4 and give this a 3. This, if you had the mute button on, you would have missed absolutely nothing.
Right.
I mean, there were a couple of, what was the guy who played Bernie? What was his name?
Tyree Henry.
Aside from him, I kind of didn't see the point. I enjoy the movie. Don't get me wrong. I own the movie. Okay, mm-hmm. So I'm not dissing the movie. I'm just saying that, on a scale of 0 to 5, I'd give it 3 stars. You could have fleshed out people a little bit. And the thing about Millie Bobby,
5 hours long.
Well, the thing about it, Millie Bobby Brown never really does anything.
Yeah.
Like Millie Bobby Brown is there because she's Millie Bobby Brown.
Right. Because she was in the last one and she's recognizable.
Yeah, because she's recognizable and it'll put butts in the seats, but that role that she plays can be anybody.
Right.
So it's no person stands out in the film. So for that reason, entertaining, great fight scenes, great special effects, a lot of fun to watch. Mm-hmm. Don't misunderstand me. But you almost don't need people.
Yeah.
So for that, I'd give it 3 stars.
Okay. 3. Fair enough.
All right. Is there anything that we missed that you wanted to bring up that you think we did not cover?
No, I don't think so. It's a darn fine Godzilla movie, and
Yeah,
Godzilla lives to fight again. So
indeed,
wait for the next one.
indeed. First of all, my thanks to you for taking the time out on short notice, because this was an episode that was supposed to happen last week.
Yeah, you can tell I have no prep, no notes, no nothing. I'm just sort of winging it.
I watched it this afternoon. As you know, I fell ill late last week and was just unable to do anything. I'm pulling out of it now. I feel a hell of a lot better. But was unable to stream on Thursday night to complete this. Now this week, scrambling to catch up on shows and hoping to, have the schedule back up and ready for this week. But I appreciate you taking the time today on short notice to just come in and shoot the shit for a little bit about the flick.
Well, finally, I might as well do it if I'm going to get kicked off.
Well, I figure at least if you watched it, we might as well, talk about it and not have that, happen for nothing, because the same thing happened with Ryan, and I can't remember why exactly, with Payback. And he came all the way over, and we sat here and we watched Payback, the director's cut, and then we never got to scream about it. And I feel bad about that. Maybe we'll get a chance to roll that back into the queue also.
I hope so. There's a lot of good movies coming out that need to be talked about. I just saw Nope on Friday, and I won't say anything other than go to the theater and see it. It's worth it.
Nope. Okay,
Nope.
I'll try to catch it. I'll try to catch it this week. All right, I think that's it for this evening. My thanks to Deebzilla for popping in one more time. If everything works as it's supposed to, and the past few weeks with this show, between illness and a couple of other different things, we've had a lot. We had cancellations and just a bunch of things that have just happened recently that have, sort of set us back and slowed things down, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it's okay to slow things down. We hope to be back this week. If everything goes, as I said, according to plan, on Wednesday, we'll be here for the Late Show with Rod to cover the Summer of Crime as we get into Christopher Walken's famous role of Frank White in The King of New York. Yeah, that's going to be a great movie to discuss. I love that film. I think I was on another channel last week before I got sick, talking about De Palma, and people always talk about Scarface, but if you ask me, The King of New York is just a far superior film. And then on Thursday, and I really hope that both of these come off in preparation for the release of the Prey movie that's going to appear on Hulu, which is going to be the new Predator movie. There's a new Predator movie. It comes out next week, I believe, August 5th, on Hulu. This Thursday, in preparation for that, we're going to cover the original. And it's going to be Eric, it's going to be Ryan, and it's going to be Marty over in Dublin. He's going to pop in from Ireland to shoot the shit with us and talk the original. And I'm curious, especially to watch the original and then maybe a week later see how this new one holds up. I'd actually like to discuss the new one and get a stream on it once it plays out, and give us a couple of days, and then maybe we can do an impromptu stream depending on how schedules permit.
All right, the new one's Predator versus Comanches, right?
Yeah, it looks woke. I have a distinct impression that by the end, the Predator and the native Comanche woman will be fighting the white colonists. I have the distinct that's how I'm calling it. I predict that's what's going to happen. So we'll see how it plays
give her
out.
acid scars on her face like the last one.
I hope not. I hope not. Eric says Thursday we'll kick some serious ass. Yeah, that's going to be a great show. We've been looking forward to talking about this for a long time. So that's going to be a good movie.
Okay, or not. We love Predator.
Well, you're welcome to stop in if you like. Thursday night we'll be there.
All right. If I'm around, I will.
All right. Thanks once again to Team Zilla. Thanks to everybody in the stream. Again, Godzilla vs. Kong is available on HBO Max. You can stream it right now. Take 2 hours and watch a good kick-ass monster movie. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Have a good night, everybody. If you're on the East Coast, stay out of this damn heat. It's fucking dangerous out there.
It's 100 degrees out there, and the rain never comes.
+7. All right, everybody. Later on.
All right.
Peace.
Bye.